with the latest county hot topics, news, business, and events. It's time for Spotlight on Cumberland County. Now let's join our host, Commissioner Victoria Groetsch-Lods.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria Groetsch-Lods, Cumberland County Commissioner, and I'm here this evening with one of our great mayors in Cumberland County, Mayor Mike Rothman from Commercial Township. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing well. We'll try with Downe tonight.
Oh, what did I say? Commercial?
Yes.
You know why? Because I have commercial on my mind. Because they
Yes.
just celebrated their 150th
Absolutely.
anniversary, and I was just having a conversation with somebody and all the history that's there. But yes, Mayor Mike Rothman from Downe
See, I got
Township.
this. How are you?
I'm okay, I
Good.
think. Yeah. Now, Mayor Mike Rothman, you and I go back a little ways.
Yes.
And I like you quite a bit. But
Oh.
I didn't ask you tonight to come on because of how much I like you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know this.
I have one fan out there. It's my grandfather, John Brady. He watches every show, and much like your father, because I know
Yes.
sometimes they hang out, they always like to give me feedback. Why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you say that? So he always calls me and he asks me when things are going on around the county, and he loves to take rides down to Downe Township and see what's happening. And he has lots of questions. So I said I was going to answer my one fan. I was going to answer his questions and have you on. So you can thank John Brady for having
I
me here tonight.
definitely will. I will pass that on through the next glass of McCallum. Absolutely.
He's got lots of questions. So tell us, what is happening?
There's a lot that's going on in Downe Township. We are continuously upgrading some things as far as the infrastructure of Downe. Our biggest project, as you know, is the wastewater treatment system, which has been going on for about 9 years. Mayor Campbell started this a while back, and we are to the point, again, as you know, we're to the point of getting this thing off the ground, shoveling the ground, and the first flush is within sight. So
First flush,
the
yeah.
first flush.
It's funny the things we get excited about when we're in this position,
Yes.
isn't it? So first flush is something we never thought we'd say, I'm
No.
sure. But I remember the inception of that idea when Mayor Campbell was in office, and he was currently the mayor. And the idea was floated to a lot of the residents in Downe Township, and there was a lot of concern. People said, well, how much is this going to cost me to hook in? And the cost per month and all of that. They had a lot of questions. But like anything, everyone's a little skeptical of change. But, we always, as a community, we always want to see advancement. We always
Yes.
want to see growth, because that means that we're thriving, right? That means that things are alive here in Cumberland County, and they very much are.
Absolutely.
So this is something that, this kind of development, it's going to have a little bit of its growing pains, and it has, because you've been working tirelessly on this for years
Yes.
to put together the funding that's necessary. And I have to say, I've been involved in government for probably 25 years, only recently on this side of things, but always behind the scenes and working on legislation and policy and all of that. And I've really never seen a project that was able to get so much support of grant funds.
Without going through all the details of everything, just as when you say
There's
that,
lots of acronyms, and our viewers don't
There's
always know all
way
those
too many.
acronyms.
one of the big things that we were able to accomplish with the committee, with the help of the township, with the help of the county, the state, we have some incredible partners there, as well as the USDA, DEP, the iBank, and again the county. One of the things that we were able to accomplish early on this project was coming in at a $15 million project. When it came in, we were made an offer that if we were able to get 50% of grant funding, that we would have a stronger backing of this project as far as financial obligations and signatures. When we kept going with this due to COVID and due to the actual supply chain and everything that happened worldwide, this project grew to $35 million. When this was still in its conceptual stage at 50% grant funding, we never stopped on it because the project grew in price. We continuously worked on it, the committee, our team, and now we are, as of our last meeting, we were 77% grant funded on a $35 million project.
That's almost unheard of in
It's-
government, that we work so hard to, and that's why you are really the people's mayor. You wanted to make sure, because that was a concern and you knew it. And you've grown up in this town.
Yep.
You've grown up around all of those for generations. Your family's there, around all the people that had these concerns. And a lot of them, probably half of them are related to you. If you're anything
few.
like me, I say if we talk long enough, we'll figure out how we're related.
Yes.
So it was personal to you to make sure that this was affordable for everyone, and you're not just using taxpayer dollars to get this done. You wanted to go out and find other resources to provide and make this affordable for the community.
This project isn't for anyone in particular. This project is for the residents of Downe. It's going to serve the island of Fortescue and the island of Gandy's Beach. They are both together in this. When Sandy hit, it was a nightmare for us down there. Then we had a few other storms behind that, East Sias and another one, that just continuously pounded away at what the septic systems were. So this isn't just for Mr. Smith that lives at the end of New Jersey Avenue or Mrs. Jones that lives at the other end of the road.
Right.
This is for everybody there, and it's going to benefit everybody. We don't want to become a sea breeze. We will not become a sea breeze. We will not become a Bay Point.
And for anyone who doesn't know, if you haven't gone to Seabreeze, it's essentially a ghost town. It's one of, I think,
They're gone.
a location in Weird, New Jersey. When you go down
Correct.
there, there's. I actually have traveled down there with my grandfather. We go on lots of rides, but and there's one guy, kind of, he's waiting for you to come in, and he wants you to get out as soon as possible.
As soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, certainly we don't want to see that happen. And it's not so much even about bringing in, big development, but it's about, like you said, maintaining what's there. I mean, people's properties were getting demolished.
The Fortescue area, when you look at Cumberland County, and you look at everything that we have to offer, which is incredible what we have to offer throughout the whole county, Fortescue is what we consider in Cumberland County as the Jersey Shore. That is our Jersey Shore,
Sure.
Cumberland County. There are no other beaches on tidal areas. Yes, there's places to go back where there's a river and everything else you sit. But Fortescue has an actual beach. People go there all summer. Right now the Striper Run is on fire down there. That beach is packed from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Not just the beach, the fishing pier, the jetty. All over the coastline right there in Fortescue, it's packed. They're over in Gandy's Beach doing the same thing. Although there's not a public area that we call a beach. But Fortescue has that. And it's one of these things that need to stay here. I had mentioned earlier that Mayor Campbell, when he did this, and when he first started this idea after Sandy, his slogan was no retreat. Through this whole project and all the time that when this first started, when Mayor Campbell started this, I can remember I was just getting involved in this. People would laugh at us. People said this will never get done. Bob Campbell has lost his mind, and the whole idea of a water treatment service or system for Fortescue, no. And here we are getting ready to make this a reality. A shovel going in the ground. As I said earlier, the first flush is in sight.
Yeah.
It is. This is reality. And
What's the timeline on when you think homeowners can expect to begin to connect to the system?
The whole project take about 2 years from beginning to end. It's one project that we have split into 2 phases. Phase 1 would be the treatment plant and facility, and phase 2 would be and phase 1 also include the infrastructure Fortescue, and phase 2 is the infrastructure at Gandy's Beach. The time period is almost 2 years from first shovel in to the last shovel out. There's a lot of things that go on with this, grinder pumps, wet wells, the infrastructure. After that, we've also secured not just the money for the system itself, we've also, through the Department of Transportation, we've secured the funding to repave all the roads. So when this is all done, all the roads down there will be repaved and fresh.
That's fantastic.
Of the whole area. And this is all off of, it's nothing that'll go to the local tax base, even the county tax base. This is all coming off DOT
That's
funding.
amazing. To have local roads repaved that
Yes.
isn't coming out of local tax dollars is really incredible. So thank you for doing that.
It's a community project, and,
Yeah.
and this committee has worked tirelessly on this. We have a great team put together, and Jim Metallo, Joel Fleischman. We have great partners with the county and the state, and I know I would get myself in trouble if the real mayor wasn't mentioning this. And Nadine Locke, who was our clerk, keeps it all together.
Yeah.
Nadine is the left and right hand of what happens here for Downe. There's so many projects going on between not just the water treatment system, we have FEMA projects that are going on for bulkheads.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I know we see a lot of things happening out there, and what's going on. I see a lot of South State trucks out there.
South State won some.
Yeah.
Were awarded some bids through FEMA. There's a new bulkhead that is getting ready to start in Gandy's Beach. We were able to figure out how to add an additional 200 feet for it for the residents down there when the storm hits Gandy's Beach. The homes that are right there on the bayfront, they're the ones that are vulnerable every time. The electric goes out. There was a cap that was there that got knocked off in Isaias. So we're in the process right now of repairing that and adding 200 feet to that bulkhead, which will stop the water from spraying up in the transformer or spraying into the homes. We're working on trying to alleviate the problem of flooding.
Okay.
You're not going to stop Mother Nature. How do you do that?
You can't. You got to work with her.
You're going to
dance with her.
Absolutely. And it's been happening. There have been some storms lately that have caused a few problems down there. And again, with the help of the county, we were able to get on top of this. Part of this bulkhead that's going to start in a few weeks is that area that was damaged from the storm. And we're going to put some sheeting in there. And the material that's there will have to continuously upgrade the problem areas where water does come through. Anytime you live in a coastal community, you can expect coastal problems.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what community, and Downe Township is not special in that way. Look up and down the coast. From Maine to Florida, everybody that lives on the coast experiences coastal problems.
Well, I grew up with this myself. My father's family, they're all from Cape May and Wildwood originally, and they kind of emigrated down from Philadelphia back in the 60s and got a little motel in Wildwood, and then went down to Cape May when it was nothing but a ghost town, and great opportunity. But this is something that's always been a conversation. Mother Nature for sure, because one side of my family were in agriculture, the other side was down the shore in the tourism business, hotel, motel. So Mother Nature is, a conversation we've all had. I have journals of my grandmother, keeping track of the weather and what happened. And, you had to know the weather at all times.
You're not going to beat it. And I find from just being in the business I am with the fishing business, in the summertime, I'm not looking at my phone on any social media. I'm constantly at the weather looking at it, because that dictates what's going to happen either tomorrow night or tonight. Oh, my son's got the boat tonight.
What you need to prepare
for now. What we need to look for. Are we going to get out fishing or we're not?
And not only that, but you're also in emergency management as well. Yep. So you need to be prepared for what might...
There's always something in any coastal community. One of the other projects that we have going on right now, besides just a FEMA project or our water treatment, who will be here after me, Shane Godshall with the American Littoral Society is doing a project down there right now.
Don't steal his thunder.
Oh, he's going to get it all. He can have everything it is. But it is for the protection of horseshoe crabs and the red knots. And
we have the Horseshoe Crab Festival coming up soon, right?
It's on its way. It's been a huge event down there. It has grown every year.
Well, we'll leave that to Shane, because I have a funny story about that too. But just, not that I don't want to spend too much time going back to the project, but also I want to bring up the fact that when people hook into the water treatment project, that there's also funding for them to convert and to hook up.
We, through USDA Rural Development, and again, one of the great partners with Jane Aselta, there's a few programs in there that they have to offer for not just your hookup. There's a home rehab grant, I think it is, through Matt Blauer, that you're able to do the hookup. There's another grant out there through USDA, and I might have these two things backwards, that will allow for the closure of the old system. And what has to happen is those systems have to be pumped out, filled with sand, and capped. Then you can make the hookup to the new system, which is a grinder pump, wet well, and the electric. And there are some 2 or 3 programs out there to help people do this, whether it be closing the system or making the hookup. And that'll make it a lot easier. There's some other things as far as senior benefits that we're working on and getting in there. We have asked.
I had it in my notes here. I was looking for it because
you're writing a lot of notes.
I had written it all. I write everything down. I'm in education. I have to take notes on everything I do. Went to school for journalism. This is what I know how to do.
Planner. So one of the other things that are out there is with the seniors and trying to help them to do this. We have asked DCA to waive permitting fee for the hookup for this system. This isn't a a 10,000 person user system. It is a mandatory system that when people hook up to this system, anybody in the service area has to hook up to this. But what we're asking for is to waive the fees. This is a project, again, that started from DEP and told Downe Township do something. And when the project started to come to life, okay, we'll build our own plant. There was talk about running a service line from Bridgeton to Downe. We did some studies. The state did some studies. The county did some studies. It would not have been feasible to run from Bridgeton, which is running under capacity, and it could better serve some outlying areas. But at the time, they wanted Downe Township to foot the bill, and nobody else was allowed to hook into the system if they ran that line. So we had to go another route, and by doing that, we came up with a plan. And again, through Mayor Campbell, which I inherited what he had started, and I'm proud to continue to get this thing done. Mayor Campbell's still on the committee, and we constantly go back to him and asking, what was your vision here? Where do we go from here? And he has let us do what we have to do as far as moving forward, but he's also very much involved with what this is. So when DEP started all of this, we had no choice but to come up with something or our existence would disappear. And the life of the Bayshore communities is, unless you've actually lived there, it is a different lifestyle.
I think that's a really important part that you bring up, is that, it was really fight or flight.
It's just what it was.
That's what you were faced with. I mean, when development happens in different areas, people get nervous because their way of life is going to change. But this wasn't just a change in a way of life. This was life going away from the area. And you really took this project and have breathed life back into the Bayshore community. And I'm so thankful that you did. And I'm so glad I'll tell you what, I don't care how old you are, you're young at heart, because you remind me of a 16-year-old me when it was time to buy a car, right? And I wasn't too motivated until my parents said, hey, we'll match whatever you save. All of a sudden, I'm really motivated, right? So I'm so glad that you have been motivated to find the funding that's available, find the programs out there.
Thank you.
I know that there are loans, grants, waivers on forgiveness, and we had a conversation too about how complicated the paperwork and all of that can be when especially seniors filling out grant applications. I mean, for anybody, it's a lot. So I know that we talked about the USDA and different organizations providing assistance at that time to our senior community, and certainly the county is here to help with that as well.
When you mention that, even like the seniors, I'm not really computer savvy. I can get on my computer, I can do what I have to do, and I can live through my employment or any of the businesses of working on a computer. But that world is a foreign language to some seniors, even to some younger people. I mean, in today's world, the kids, you always see them with the phone, you see them with the games, you see them with all this electronic stuff, all the different social media. I know that my parents, my in-laws, older uncles, you give them something like that, they can't operate an iPhone. They still have to get to the flip phone thing, dial the number. So when you say the seniors trying to get through the paperwork, one of the things that you had asked earlier,
I'm going to say anybody, not just seniors. It's
anybody.
It is
very confusing to navigate through the USDA world. I say this all the time when it comes to FEMA. I do not speak fluent FEMA. And I keep bringing him up, Bob Campbell. Bob speaks fluent FEMA. I don't know how.
Skill.
It is when I go into any type of phone call meeting with FEMA, when I come out, probably the first or second thing I say to myself is, what did they say? Because you need an interpretation, acronyms. It's beyond belief, and numbers, and you try and understand it. And you just have to sit down for a few minutes to really let that sink in with FEMA. We have a great liaison through the state police and FEMA, Ryan Brisky, who has helped us immensely with FEMA projects.
So you have this huge project going on with the water treatment system. You have bulkheads going in to try to be preventative measures against future storms. It seems like there's a lot of things in place to kind of stabilize everybody and begin to grow. So what do you see on the horizon?
The resiliency for Downe Township will always be a project that has to be stayed on top of. No matter what we put in place today, you're always going to need something tomorrow to increase what your resiliency is. Again, you live in a coastal community. You know this going in. So to be able to better that, whether it be through beach replenishment, again, the project that the American Littoral Society is, we're going to try and use that as a footprint of the gabions and the mats that they're placing out there. If this is something that works for their project, it's liable to be something that works for the community itself, for the homes, the protection of the beaches, things of that nature. But the resiliency on the Bayshore area, and that's not leaving out what our inland community is. You have an inland community of Newport, you have an inland community of Dividing Creek.
Sure.
And that, again, is just as important to this township as the community of Fortescue and Gandy's. They're there. They're our residents. They're our history. They're our heritage. You can't get through Downe Township without Dividing Creek. It is in the community incredibly deep with history. And it's part of Downe Township. The problem is right now it's seen as that Fortescue's getting all the attention. So you have to keep the project. You got an area in Maple Creek that's beautiful over there, fishing, crabbing, right in that area, and just nature in itself. The unique thing when you say what the vision is, the unique thing about Downe Township is our non-rateable land. Between Fish and Game and Natural Lands and Trust that have come in and purchased the majority of our property, which it takes away from our tax base, as well as Green or Blue Acres that has come in and bought up a lot of the property. Downe Township is faced with a very unique situation, and that is in the bigger communities, when you have a problem, the bigger community is able to reach in their pocket, thumb out hundreds, and fix the problem. We
That's
don't
you.
have that luxury.
Yeah.
We have to face the problems head on and fix them before we move to the next one. So that's one of our challenges, and that'll always be a challenge, excuse me, for Downe Township. But we're going to get there. We're not giving up. As Mayor Campbell
With
said,
you
no
at the
retreat.
help and with the spirit that's in Downe Township, I have no doubt that you're going to get there.
Thank you.
And then, I'm a high school educator here in Cumberland County, and I'm over at Millville High School. So whenever I have my guests on, I always like to ask them, how did you get here? Because I have seniors who go through my classroom every year, and, they're on the precipice of life and wondering what they're going to do and how they're going to get there and what are the best ways to get there. So you run the Bonanza.
Yes.
You're the mayor. You're in emergency management. I don't know, what else are you doing? I hope that's it. But
We have Riley's Gun Shop up in
oh, that's
Cedarville.
right. That's right.
And I can't even tell you the amount of projects that my dad gets me into. That's a never-ending project. So there are a few things. We're also involved with the Bayshore Center, which is a great thing for our community in the Bayshore area between the Marywald and the Bayshore Center
So
itself.
you're a public servant, a business owner, community activist. How did you get here? What's the path?
When I think about that, I'll let you know when I figure it out. I woke up one day and said, this was not life's plans. I can promise you
Yeah.
that doing what I'm doing here with the township was not life's plans. This wasn't the direction that I wanted to head in. It just appeared to me one day. I was asked, and I live there. My wife is third generation from there. My business is there. I'm embedded into this community. Yes, I moved there. I've been there 30, 40 years. When you look around and you see what's happening, I was always raised by another educator of Millville, Coach Sharpless, Dave Sharpless. He taught me early on in life, if you're not part of the solution, you are just as much part of the problem. And it's something that has resonated with me forever. And one of the other things that I'm heavily involved in is running a Fortescue Marina. And when the problem started there, we needed to fix the marina up. Again, here I go. If I'm not part of the solution, I'm just as much part of the problem. And it just escalated into where I'm at today.
So I would say that maybe you would give the same advice that I give my students, because I've had an evolution of a career as well, which is your dream job changes as your life changes. And I think
Yes.
what happened for you is that you saw problems around you and you decided that you were going to be part of the solution.
That's where I'm at.
And I'm so glad you are.
Thank you.
Well, it was great having you here.
Absolutely,
We're going to
thank
wrap up.
you.
We're going to bring our next guest on, and we're going to let you get back to the boat and painting, because I know
yeah.
you're not done.
I'm about to get fired. My son's probably already sent me a text, you're fired for leaving. But no, Tori, thank you very much. And if there's ever anything we can do, we're always here.
Well, thank you, Mayor. We're going to take a short break now. I'm Commissioner Victoria Groetsch-Lods, checking in with Mayor Mike Rothman, and we'll be right back after this message.
Allen Associates is a family-owned and operated full-service agency, managing a broad base of clients in the New Jersey area. Allen Associates has been a leader in health benefits and financial services, including health, prescription, life insurance, pension, 401k plans, and estate planning. With more than 60 years of experience and a staff of highly trained and dedicated professionals, Allen Associates is noted for its ability to build strong, long-term relationships with our clients and the communities we serve. Give them a call today at 856-692-2250. Allen Associates, your complete health and financial services, Vineland, New Jersey.
Complete Care has some big news to share with you,
We're here opening more locations and offering more services every day.
including our newest locations on Pearl Street in Bridgeton and High Street in Millville.
We're here with convenient, high quality, and accessible healthcare services all under one roof.
We're here just a call or email away.
We're here to provide compassionate care for you and your family.
We're here and we're ready when you are.
Complete Care Health Network, ready when you are.
Allen Associates is a family-owned and operated full-service agency, managing a broad base of clients in the New Jersey area. Allen Associates has been a leader in health benefits and financial services including health, prescription, life insurance, pension, 401k plans and estate planning. With more than 60 years of experience and a staff of highly trained and dedicated professionals, Allen Associates is noted for its ability to build strong, long-term relationships with our clients and the communities we serve. Give them a call today at 856-692-2250. Allen Associates, your complete health and financial services, Vineland, New Jersey.
At Mason.
With the latest county hot topics, news, business, and events. It's time for Spotlight on Cumberland County. Now let's join our host, Commissioner Victoria Groetsch-Lods.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Commissioner Victoria Groetsch-Lods. We just wrapped up with Mayor Mike Rothman, and now we have our second guest of the evening, Shane Godshall.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hello. And Shane is from the American Littoral Society. And Shane, I know that there's probably some people out there that aren't quite sure, is that about books or what? You know, they want to know, what is the American Littoral Society? So would you please tell the viewers at home?
Absolutely. We used to have a bumper sticker that said the Littoral Society is not a book club. Right? We are not. Littoral is just a fancy word to say seashore. And so we're a coastal conservation nonprofit, and we've been in existence since 1961, focusing on education, outreach, advocacy, and conservation/restoration projects.
Okay, around the whole country.
Focused primarily in New Jersey with some national policy work and things like that.
Okay. And how did you get to our little Cumberland County here?
Yeah, so the home office for the Littoral Society is up on Sandy Hook National Recreation Area in Monmouth County. But years ago, I guess there was some work down in this region for land preservation and such, and they opened up a smaller office. And then after Hurricane Sandy came through, there was a need for continued work down here with restoration. And so since then, over the last 11 years or so, we have been building our office down here in Delaware Bay, specifically here in Millville.
Yeah, isn't that great? It's kind of the theme of our last interview as well with Mayor Rothman. You know, the storms are sort of, these disasters ignite this opportunity.
Yeah.
I think we saw the same thing after COVID. When you have a disaster, out of that darkness comes light. And there's, hopefully gives birth to some really new and exciting opportunities. So tell us what's going on with the Littoral Society and Shane Godshall and Cumberland County.
Sure, yeah, happy to do it. So like I said, we got started right after Hurricane Sandy, and for the last decade, we've been doing habitat restoration projects around the Bay. Cape May County to some degree, Cumberland County for the most part.
Habitat for?
Good question. Habitat restoration for migratory shorebirds and horseshoe crabs specifically is what we look at, but also the larger, ecosystem around that. We also try to do projects that have a piece of community resilience into it if we can, when possible. But our main focus is making sure the ecology exists and is available for the critters that are in the bay and are important to the bay that have a place to be.
And I know this is probably a big time of year for you, which is why I picked the Bayshore community to focus on tonight's show. Yeah. We have the Horseshoe Crab Festival coming up, and I know usually you have tons of volunteers that go out there. I've done it myself and flipped over the horseshoe crabs. So tell us what that's all about.
Yeah, so May and June is a special time of year in South Jersey. The Delaware Bay is home to more horseshoe crabs than anywhere else in the known universe. And so they come in through May and June and they spawn up on the beaches. And the Littoral Society goes out and tags horseshoe crabs with volunteers every year. And we conduct all sorts of monitoring around that. But a lot of what people like to do is come down and hang out with us tagging
And
horseshoe
tell
crabs.
people, why is that important, the horseshoe crabs? Because most people just kind of look at them as menacing. Oh, I'm scared.
Oh my gosh,
the kids cry when they see them. But they really are a very special little animal.
They absolutely are. They are a keystone species to the bay, which means that if you take them out of the bay population, it causes catastrophic kind of outflow of incidents. But horseshoe crabs come up by the millions every year during May and June, and they lay eggs on the beaches of the bay. And those eggs become food for the migratory shorebirds and finfish of the bay. And it's this natural phenomenon that takes place right here at home, and a lot of people don't even know what happens. Right?
I know, and I'm fascinated by it. So that's why I want you to explain it to everybody, because it really is wild. It's great science when you know about it.
Yes, most of the time they live out in the ocean, just off the coastal shelf, off the coast, and then through this season they migrate in, and they've been doing this for so long that over the eons the birds have kind of timed their migration to coincide with the availability of these eggs. So we have birds that are flying from South America and doing 9-day flights off from Brazil, coming here to the Delaware Bay to eat eggs that are readily available from horseshoe crabs. But there's also some pharmaceutical pieces for that. So horseshoe crabs have a special component in their blood that coagulates on contact with bacteria. And a very smart guy in the 70s created a test called Limulus amoebocyte lysate that will test for bacteria in injectable drugs and other implantable devices. So horseshoe crabs, there's a bleeding process where they use a portion of the horseshoe crab blood to create that Limulus amoebocyte lysate, and those crabs are supposed to be returned alive to the bay.
Oh, I have a real live science teacher with me here today. I'm so excited. But so we're dealing.
Don't push too hard on that angle.
Right. We're dealing with Mother Nature's air plan, right? Her air schedule, her flight schedule. We're dealing with medicinal benefits, and there's a lot going on, and as well as the health to our bayshore,
absolutely,
to the water. So we're preserving the habitat for the birds, for the horseshoe crabs, and what else?
Well, whatever else could make you. There's a whole host of critters that live within the literal environment there, and the crabs and the finfish, and there's all sort of a piece for that within the work that we do.
Okay.
So, but our focus has been historically on creating the spawning habitat for horseshoe crabs and the foraging habitat for migratory shorebirds.
Okay. Have you had to work? So I know you're focused here on our bayshore community in southern Cumberland County. Have you had to work with other parts of the state? Do they all sort of flow together, pun intended?
They do. We actually have a lot of restoration projects around the state. There's several that are going on in Barnegat Bay and that sort of that neck of the woods. I generally stay just in the Delaware Bay. I do get called occasionally to go work elsewhere within the state, but by and large, my work stays right here in Delaware Bay. And I've been doing it for about a decade now, actually. Like 11 years, I guess.
Wow.
So I love it. So it's a great place to be. And, it's funny, Mayor Rothman was just here talking about Downe Township and everything. And Money Island is where I fell in love with the bay. And it was a warm summer morning on a Saturday. I had to go to a community meeting years ago, 12 years ago. And I just sat out on the deck in Money Island at the marina there and looked out across the grass and the water. It was gorgeous. Of course, this is why people love it here. It's just a special place.
South Jersey is kind of like a siren, and there's so much to fall in love with. What you fall in love with sometimes is more work than you bargained for.
That's for sure.
You heard me tell Mayor Rothman my family's involved in agriculture and farming, and that happened to my father as well. He was down in Cape May and down the shore, and he actually was working on scallop boats, and he met my mother, and her family was all in farming, came up, and he just, the perfect day on a farm is there's nothing like it, and the sun is shining and a cool breeze and the tractor and things are growing. It's just majestic, much like you just described Money Island. And then once you fall in love with it, oh boy.
Then you find out all the problems, right? Then the gnats show up and the greenheads show up.
It's
the
a lot of work.
Challenges,
to care for such a beautiful lady. We'll call the Bayshore community in South Jersey in general a beautiful woman. But there's a lot really that you have to do to maintain all of that. that and to preserve all of that. So I know you're working on a project with Mayor Rothman in commercial, or in Downe. I did it
Township,
again. I have commercial on my mind as they celebrated their 150th
We
anniversary.
also have a project in commercial, so that's okay.
We'll get to commercial
that
in a
one
minute.
too.
So tell us what you have going on in Downe. He almost stole your thunder.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, he teed me up nicely for it, I guess. So we've been doing habitat restoration, like I said, for the last decade. We've actually been at Fortescue before, and we put down some sand. So one of the things that we like to do is we have to truck in sand, like literally in truckloads, and put it on the beaches, because unlike the Atlantic coast, there's not a whole lot of sand right off the beach that we can dredge back up and bump on. So
right,
years ago,
we see that a lot at the Jersey Shore,
exactly.
right? We see all the sand kind of coming, dredging back in. So we can't do that here. That's interesting to know. So that's why we see some, when you go down there, you might see this coming in. This is why.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's no offshore sand source for us to pump back onto the beaches. So so we bring in trucks of sand, and so years ago we put a whole new. So right after Hurricane Sandy, there was an evaluation done of the habitat, and it seemed about 70% of the habitat was lost for horseshoe crab spawning.
Okay.
So we very quickly began redoing beaches, trying to fix beaches, get enough sand so there could be a spawn. We have continued that work for the last decade, and so a few years back we went and did the whole beach, put a bunch of sand out. But it's sand moves in the literal environment; it doesn't stay put. And so it's really it's a project that has a 3 to 5 year shelf life, depending on how it's done and how much sand you can get out. And so we have kind of gotten to a point where we'd like to get it on a cycle, but we're grant funded for everything we do. We don't have a steady stream of funding that comes in. It's not like an annual allocation that comes to us.
Right.
We have to put in proposals and request funding from different grantors.
And I know that can be tough, because a lot of times when you're looking for grant funding, and I've done this myself, they want to see that you have another stream of income coming in. And the horseshoe crabs, they do a lot, but they don't make any money. So
that's a little bit of, it's a point of contention a lot of times in some of our discussion. If they could all just contribute a little bit. No, honestly, the industry that's built up around horseshoe crabs, it would be lovely if we could get some funding from those, which generally does not contribute to the work we do. We have to find outside funding for the various projects we do. So we visited Fortescue a number of years back, and we have recently been able to secure additional funding from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation to come back and put more sand out on the beach, as well as put in some breakwaters, which is sort of a new technique for us. In the past, we've done low-profile shell bag reefs, which are meant to break up the waves a little bit and reduce some erosion, but primarily retain the sand in the beach area. This new breakwater structure that we're working with has been, we spent a lot of time working with some engineers and so forth to come up with something that would trip up the waves well enough that it reduces some of the erosion. It'll help keep some of the sand in the system and not create issues for horseshoe crabs trying to get to the beach. So that's one of our main concerns. It's a perfect
balance there. Your job is not easy, my friend.
We're trying to sort it out. So I think we have a pretty good system in place, and in fact, they're just wrapping up the breakwaters as we speak, and that project should be well underway.
How do you measure it? Is it by pounds of sand or?
So tons of sand or cubic yards. Depends. So the plans show up in cubic yards, but they sell it to us by the ton.
How many tons of sand have come into Cumberland County?
Well, for this last project, we brought in 14,000 tons of sand.
Wow.
And we have. The year prior, we worked with New Jersey DOT's Office of Marine Resources when they did the maintenance dredging.
Department of Transportation. I try to just translate our acronyms.
I'm sorry, yes, the Department of Transportation.
I know we speak alphabet soup, but not everybody does.
Absolutely. So they're marine folks that are dredging the creeks for creek maintenance. They did a project in Fortescue Creek last year, and we were able to work together to get that sand pumped almost a mile from the creek to our project site.
Wow.
So they added 35,000 cubic yards of sand
fantastic.
Last year.
And is that more cost effective too when you do it that way?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the state covered the cost of that because they have to do the project anyway. So they were already doing it. Normally, they would try to place the sand closer to where they dredged it, but then it just ends up right back into the channel very quickly.
Okay.
So for them, this was sort of ideal. It got the sand far enough away that it wouldn't immediately go right back in and fill in the creek, but it also helped benefit the shoreline and added a whole lot of sand that was desperately needed on that south end of Fortescue.
Because I know this is a lot of activity that's going on right now, and people have asked, what's happening, what's going on, what is this? So it's all for the horseshoe crabs and our migratory birds.
Absolutely, which is huge. I mean, it is a natural phenomenon that most people truly don't get to appreciate or think to appreciate, and it's a shame.
So when is the Horseshoe Crab Festival? Is
You know what?
May?
I don't know.
You
I just got the flyer the other day.
Oh, come on! No, we
yes,
have to
it
get
should
people
be.
involved.
I think the 10th sounds right to me, but I don't know
Is there
for sure.
a way people can get involved with the Literal Society?
Sure. You can go to our website, which is literalsociety.org.
And please make a donation of any size.
Any donations. We love to get donations. It would be wonderful. But no, a lot of what we do is try to create projects that we can also involve the community in. So we do a lot of citizen science work. So even around our monitoring, like the horseshoe crab tagging, we get people to come out and volunteer with us on that. But building these restoration projects, we do low-profile shell bag reefs. We bring out the community, ideally, to help build them in the beaches that they care about. It just kind of develops this sense of stewardship in the place and ownership over the project. So they become sort of caretakers and proponents for horseshoe crab protection later down the line. Ideally,
sure. Yeah, they have buy-in on the cause.
Yeah.
I know. I worked with Habitat for Humanity for a number of years, and that was what I fell in love with, that model where the families that we partnered with worked on the house, and so a number of things happen there, right? Not only are you learning a tremendous amount of skills, where you're learning how piping is going and water and all of this. It's a fantastic lesson in maintaining a home, but also you did it yourself, you know, and I just redid the screens on my house, and it took me hours, right? And I went to my kids. I said, "Don't you dare kick a ball over here, or anything, because." And they watched me, do all of this. So it's a lot. And when you put that effort in, you tend to want to take care of it and protect it a little bit more. And I know that that's kind of the idea behind your method, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there volunteer days that are listed on the website?
So we don't have any specific volunteer dates set up for there are dates set up for horseshoe crab tagging. If you're interested in doing that, you can go to literalsociety.org and navigate to the horseshoe crab page, or horseshoecrabtagging.org would work as well.
Literalsociety.org, and why don't you tell everybody?
Or horseshoecrabtagging.org would be just as good. And those are specific dates that are outlined through May and June, and you can sign up for available dates on that. And then
is there a phone number for the office as well?
There probably is.
You have to go to the website to find
the website's
it,
the best way to do it. I don't usually call it.
You don't call yourself?
Well, the main office is 732-291-0055. That's our home office.
All right, say that again to everybody.
732-291-0055.
Okay, if you'd like any additional information on the American Littoral Society, you can reach out to the phone number, which is, say it again,
732-291-0055.
And the website?
The website is literalsociety.org, and that's .org, and that is LITTORAL, literal. Society.org.
You're so passionate about the project that you're working on, and I can tell that, and I know everybody at home can as well. So I'm sure there's plenty of people at home thinking, how can I get involved? And this is something that's important to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You could sign up for our mailing list there. You can become a member of the society. So we are a member-based organization. And as dates become available for other volunteering opportunities, we certainly put them on the website, on our calendar and such.
Okay. And so what's happening in Commercial Township?
Right, so we have a much larger
project. We're just going to keep working down the coast here, up the coast.
That's perfect. So, and it's funny because we are constantly creating proposals. My boss was actually spent the last month working on proposals to do additional work all across the Bay Shore. That is, funders are interested in funding that work, and we're interested in helping it move forward. But the projects that we have actively in place is that Fortescue project. Then we have one in the mouth of the Morris River. So in Commercial Township / Morris River Township, there is, as the river comes inland, there used to be a series of bends in the river which have eroded over the decades, and it has left just this little sliver called Basket Flats, and then on the other side is the Matt's Landing Dike, which used to have a whole lot of salt marsh in front of it, but that has all eroded over time. And so a few years back, it was a number of years ago, we worked.
Time flies,
doesn't it? Well,
yeah.
We spent almost a year and a half working within the community and with the regulators to develop a plan for the area that would create a series of rock breakwaters just offshore of Basket Flats, and then off from the Matt's Landing Dike, that will help protect those two areas from
erosion.
Yeah, from wave-driven erosion.
And what's the benefit of protecting those areas from erosion?
Well, ideally, they'll persist longer. In the case with Basket Flats, what we're hoping to do is just make sure that that marsh stops eroding. If that erodes away, then there's essentially essentially direct wave attack from the ocean. Basically, there's a 20-mile fetch, which is just how far the wind can push water across the bay, right from Delaware to the mouth of the Morris. So there's a really big fetch which can create a lot of wave action. But there's also a direct line that goes out of the bay and into the ocean. So it has almost this infinite fetch.
Wow.
People
don't think about that.
No.
That's really scary when you think about that these little marshlands are kind of saving us from a huge
it's amazing
flooding.
Absolutely. So I mean there's still
I'm
always
just imagining a tsunami coming in, and
well, and that's why that has all eroded away over time. It's sort of like historical land use practices mixed with sort of some mismanagement of the resource over time. But it is this constant, wearing away of the marsh from these wind-driven waves and storm waves for that matter. So the project over at Basket Flats, which is in the commercial township side of the river, is geared to make sure that doesn't erode anymore as best we can, right? So and ideally we'll build up that marsh a little bit more over time. That actually, assuming that all stays in place and works as we hope, that will protect bivalve right behind it, and the Bayshore Center and all that's like directly behind that, all the working docks there and the clam house. And then on the other side of the river is what we call Northwest Reach, and that is sort of what used to be low marsh has been eroded away to a mud flat right in front of Matt's Landing Dike. And so now waves, especially storm-driven waves, create a lot of issues with that dike. I mean, that's literally the only thing that keeps the river from straightening out is that one dike.
Okay.
And so our plan is to put these breakwaters offshore of that, which will calm the wave environment. And then through another grant we got from the state, which is through the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, we're going to be doing some additional containment areas to build up the marsh from the outside edges and bring it towards the center, and ideally reestablish a low marsh out there and add some
And that's
protection.
the same thing, to add the protection against waves and wind and all of that.
And it creates habitat as well. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues, a whole lot of things you get out of it. So you get the protection for the community resilience piece. You have a lot of new habitat that's created, a lot of protected habitat, and there's a lot of carbon sequestration, which is what the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative funding was targeting, was sequestering carbon. So there's a lot of carbon in the atmosphere that needs to come out of the atmosphere. One way to do that is to grow things. Marshes are particularly good at sequestering carbon. And so we are trying to reestablish several acres of marsh. So
I know I was recently reading about all the things with the whales that were happening in the windmills, and that I didn't realize that the whales were did such a good job of that as well.
Right. Of sequestering.
Yes, of sequestering.
Yeah, well,
carbon.
the longer you grow and
then they kind of reserve it within their bodies, and then when they eventually pass, it just kind of sinks to the bottom of the ocean to be
part of the system, right? Disappears.
Yeah, see, Mother Nature, she is just a wild thing.
Absolutely.
And, I don't think people realize all over South Jersey and Cumberland County in particular, but the Bayshore area is really our first line of defense against an attack by Mother Nature, natural disasters and things like this, and how important, little places like Basket Flats and Matt's Landing are to protecting everything that's inland.
Right.
When people aren't paying attention, they can forget that it's there.
Right.
I don't. I always love taking rides down there, and that's kind of like clear your head a little bit, right? Take a ride and just enjoy. But people don't realize how important that is to protecting everything else that we have inland, and even our more urban areas here in Cumberland and Salem County, how important that is.
Yeah, no, I think some of the issues that we have here too is natural systems could take care of themselves, right? I mean, if we just left the earth to its own devices, it would be fine.
We don't do that.
But we don't do that.
Man does not do that.
We build things and creates we create the difficulties here. We've given up a nomadic lifestyle, so we try to hold things in place, which is a very fraught. As you had the conversation with the mayors, it's very difficult to hold things in place.
Yeah.
So we are essentially trying to create some continue for places to persist that allow for the things that have happened for eons to continue, without that can't move, the things that can't move anymore. We're trying to hold in place and protect. So.
Wow. What do you see as the greatest challenge that you face?
With
your mission down here in Cumberland County.
Well, there's so much work that.
And this is
done.
like. This is the big reach kind of thing. Maybe it's not on the table right now, but down the line, this is a huge challenge, and you really need to get there.
Well, there is so much need. There's so many areas along the bay that need attention. There's a ton of marsh work that could be done. There's a ton of beach work that could be done. There's diminishing animals. We have fewer horseshoe crabs than we should have. We have fewer finfish than we should have. We have fisheries that have used to be historic and prolific throughout the bay that are barely around anymore. And so there's just this huge piece that could be done, but the funding is never quite there, right? So we thankfully have been able to find a lot of donors or funders who are willing to help us move these projects forward, but the ask is just so much, right? So there's so much more we could do. So the greatest challenge really is funding. I mean,
sure. As with everything, right?
Yeah, as with everything. And so there's a lot of work to do, not a whole lot of money to do it all with, and so we try to do the best projects we can put together with what's available. But yeah, if we had unlimited resources, or even a pie in the sky, just a dedicated resource, it's something we could count on annually, where we could create this sort of plan for the bay.
Right.
That would be great too.
Well, it's sometimes, like I said, it's out of sight, out of mind. People go down bumpy roads all the time, and it's real easy to kind of yell and moan and want that replaced. But people forget what's happening, beyond the waves out there a little bit, and so we have to fight for that too. And I certainly am happy to be an advocate for the Bayshore community, and I'm glad that you were here tonight. And as you heard me share with Mayor Rothman, I'm a high school educator here at Millville High School, and I've worked in Bridgeton High School, Vineland High School, and I have seniors, in my classroom every day, and they're all getting ready to go out into the world, and they're always so unsure of what should I do, how do I figure out life? And so tell us, how did you get to be here? I always like to ask everybody this question.
Yeah, it's funny that you do. I actually
everyone has great stories.
Well, every now and again, I go and I speak with high school students every once in a while, and I try to make this part of my story when I talk to them, because if somebody had told me when I was in high school that this job existed, a habitat restoration project manager, where I get to spend a lot of my time at.
I've never seen that as a major in any college. So, it seems like it's an off-the-books career. So how did you get there?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of dumb luck, a little bit of, serendipity that kind of all came together. And I had gone to school for planning and environmental studies, and so I had ended up with 2 different degrees. I was working as a consultant for a while. I got laid off, and I thought, well, I didn't particularly love that job anyway. Maybe I can do something in the environment. And I happened to come across this position at the Littoral Society, and I worked with them for a year, and then we had all these projects come up that were funded, and we needed somebody who could manage those projects and help facilitate those projects moving forward. And I had just sort of all the right skill sets through the years of things that I had done. I was in the military for a while. I had done odd jobs, some budgeting stuff, some
Can you use Excel? Can you do some budgeting, grant writing?
And it all kind of came together. So like all the weird skill sets that didn't seem to add up to anything at one point all kind of came together.
Added up perfectly.
And it was great. And honestly, if I had known, that a job like this existed, I might have cared a little bit. So I got out of high school. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just joined the Army because I wasn't on, it was like, they're the only ones who were just going to pick me up, right? But yeah, I think, like forestry is something that people don't think about. Like I was the kind of kid who was not fond of going to school to be a lawyer or something. It didn't appeal to me, right? Like school for school's sake almost. So.
Well, you're not alone in that.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, no, I just happened to just have the right set of skills that all kind of came into play together, and honestly gave me probably one of the most awesome jobs I've ever had.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, your challenges are what make you stronger. If we don't have any challenges, we're not going to be as tough as we are. So I'm glad those challenges came to you, because it's made you really great at what you do and fighting for our Bayshore community and our natural wildlife and everything like that. And so we really appreciate that you're here, and I'm glad that your story is out there, and hopefully some of our high school seniors or college students or anybody kind of who's looking to invest in the Bayshore community, take a look at these other careers that are out there, and don't just keep going, never give up, because your life, your perfect your dream job changes as your life changes, and so as you evolve, you're going to find the perfect thing for you. And I'm glad that you did. So we just had Shane Godshall with us this evening from the American Littoral Society, who's working on preservation in our Bayshore community throughout Downe Township, Commercial Township, Marsh River Township, all over. You're everywhere, aren't you?
I try to be.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on tonight. Commissioner Victoria Groetsch-Lods, thank you for watching. Have a great evening.
Allen Associates is a family-owned and operated full-service agency, managing a broad base of clients in the New Jersey area. Allen Associates has been a leader in health benefits and financial services including health, prescription, life insurance, pension, 401k plans and estate planning. With more than 60 years of experience and a staff of highly trained and dedicated professionals, Allen Associates is noted for its ability to build strong, long-term relationships with our clients and the communities we serve. Give them a call today at 856-692-2250. Allen Associates, your complete health and financial services, Vineland, New Jersey.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Complete Care has some big news to share with you.
We're here opening more locations and offering more services every day,
including our newest locations on Pearl Street in Bridgeton and High Street in Millville.
We're here with convenient, high quality, and accessible healthcare services all under one roof.
We're here just a call or email away.
We're here to provide compassionate care for you and your family.
We're here and we're ready when you are.
Complete Care Health Network. Ready when you are.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.